3 weeks had passed. 3 weeks filled with different emotions. There had been 21 visits to the cemetery, 18 visits to the playground, 13 days at work, private moments in bed, 11 of them to be exact, 5 pancake dinners, 2 visits to court, and a lot of kissing. It was Sunday night. Randall had never been this happy. Ever since the day that he officially had gained custody of Rex, Sully had found the lizard smiling out of nothing. Sure, Randall was still Randall, but he pretended to be tougher than he was. He would still try to hide his feelings away from the other monsters. But they had been noticeable and changed his behavior, and everyone seemed to like. However, he was friendlier, warmer, and a bit more open, although he didn't quite take in much more of an open than he once used to be. The scaly monster leaned up against the furry chest and let out a sigh of satisfaction. Their co-workers didn't know yet, but they knew Randall had adopted his late sister's son, and knew that he and Sullivan were friends, but they didn't know that there was something more going on between them. They didn't know what the reason for Randall paying daily visits to the boss. The office was because he was so badly in love with him that he couldn't last an entire day at work without feeling his lips pressed against his own for a while. Sully placed a warm hand on Randall's back. They still didn't live together, but their relationship was only more than 3 weeks old, so it was a little early for that. Sully was still living with Mike, and Randall had lived across the hall from Miss Lorenzo, who had been more than happy that she learned that her sweet little Randy had found himself a decent boyfriend. She loved loving Rex around, and according to her, the little monster helped being brought to life in the neighborhood, which was mostly populated with elderly citizens. 3 weeks after moving in permanently, Rex was in the building. His pet was when everyone had showed their candy and head patting, and his uncle was more than happy to be a part of that. Finally, the neighbors had someone younger than him that would worship and pinch in the cheeks. Randall ran his fingers through the soft fur that he had learned to love and touch. He and Sullivan lived together most of their days at work, sometimes when they were alone with Rex. Sometimes Mike came along to hang out with them, and they have arranged for Rex to meet Mike's nephew, Joey, who had only happened once, and the adults could hardly believe that the two kids at a young age were been able to make friends. But overall, life was good and things were working fine. Randall buried his face in his boyfriend's fur and closed his eyes. He had bad days now and then, but they were perfect ones, like this one. He and Sullivan lay close together, and Rex was sleeping in his own room. Sully had spent all weekend with them, and they had been just as wonderful as the other days he had spent together as a family. A family I didn't think I even dream about, Randall thought to himself about lifting his head one above from the blue one's chest. His long tail was still wrapped around Sully's left ankle, and the blue monster used one of his fingers to his free hand to caress the other cheek, giving him a brief smile. I love it when that happens. When what happens? You know, Sully gestured towards Randall. Bill, you're putting in your colors on the moment you... No, I didn't mean to. Randall quickly changed his scales back from blue and purple polka dots to their usual shades of purple. It just happens when I lose control. Well, I love it. It's really cute. Randall frowned and lifted his head. I'm not cute. I think you're cute, especially when you do that. I told you, I can't help it. And I'm not cute. I'm not saying that you're always cute. I said I'm not cute. Randall then rolled over and crossed all 4 of his arms, and he hated when Sullivan told him he was cute. He was a monster, and a monster who used to be the second top scarer. The cute wasn't really exactly the word he liked to identify himself with. I'm sorry, Randall. The lizard had a furry hand on his shoulder and looked up at his boyfriend for the corner of his eyes. I should have picked a different word. You taking on my colors every time you come isn't true. It's just adorable. Ah, Randall sighed. The big monster chuckled. Maybe there wasn't the time to tell Randall, but he actually found his behavior kind of cute as well. He had learned how the lizard by now, and he knew that his days of protecting his image there before allowed himself to keep on teasing. How's precious Randall? How's go to hell? Sweet. Randall rolled his eyes in order to face his boyfriend again. Do I have to kick you out? Sully smiled and grew wider, and Randall rolled on his bright emerald eyes. This is my bed, you know, and I can throw you out whenever I want. I'm sorry. Sully ran a hand through his fawns on Randall's head, and although he tried to pull away at first, the lizard eventually gave in and received his kiss bigger than the other monster planted on the lips. You're a real jerk, Sullivan. Have I ever told you that? Yeah, you've mentioned. I'm sorry, Randall. He kissed him again. I'm sorry, really sorry, cutie. Randall frowned again and he whipped off his face from his lovers. He didn't turn around again, although when Sully reached out to put his arm around him again, the scaly one answered by moving a little closer to seek comfort against a warm, furry chest. You're such an idiot. He lay down his head again and closed his eyes, fumbled quietly in the blue fur. And I hate you, Sullivan. Sully smiled and then had his eyes shut, and he carefully stroked the slender purple figure that was curled up next to his own body, and sighed unhappily when he felt his long tail caress his leg. I love you too, Randall. And that, my little pretties, was Monsters Inc., the runner-up. A Monsters Inc., I don't know if I should call this one a feels pasta or a fanfiction. If you guys find this like more of a feels pasta, feel free to let me know. But I think I can definitely say, well, I could just say I'm gonna call it a feels pasta because that's what it is to me. That was a Monsters Inc. Feels pasta written by AutumnPrincess. AutumnPrincess, I have got lots of good positive things and feedback for this story. So I am going to get started with all this. So first of all, I like to say I like the concept of the story of how it went out because, you know, when I first listened to Shadow's narration of this story, I actually really thought of maybe, looking into maybe reading this someday, and there we go. I finally had the chance to be able to read this story. This story was actually amazing, really well done and made, and I've got lots of praises and positives to say about it. So, the first one I could definitely say was that how it all went out, the relationship between Randall and Sully. And all this seems very believable that I could honestly picture Disney Pixar do something like this if they were going to make another Monsters Inc. movie. But yet again, I'm just going to say right now, they would have to make it as kid-friendly as they possibly can. Because, well, there were some scenes that I don't think kids would really be able to handle, but yet again, Pixar might, get backlashed at that. I'm not saying that they would, but, But I could definitely say, I was thinking about maybe writing a story like this at some point, maybe with different characters and different situations and stuff, which I might even consider doing that in the future. But I actually found this story to do really good. Now, I haven't seen Monsters Inc. in like a very long time. I do remember watching it when I was like a really young kid. So I do remember being a young kid and I watched this movie. I must have watched it on VHS when I was like really young. I'm gonna have to maybe rewatch Monsters Inc. because I haven't seen that movie in years. But I could definitely say I really do like this story. I really do. I don't remember what chapter Shadow Reader stopped narrating this story because I think he lost interest in the story or something. I think that's from what he told me. I believe he said that he lost interest in the story, but I really don't know if that's what part. I really don't know what part Shadow was at when he lost interest in the story, but I think it might have been somewhere halfway through the whole story. It might have been somewhere where Shadow lost interest in the story, but I'm going ahead and narrating this because this is actually a really good story. And I liked how the cute scenes with Randall and Sully getting together and they doing stuff together. That's actually very sweet, and I definitely have to say it is very sweet in my opinion. It's like one of the sweetest stories I've ever read. Now, I have read some other ones in the past, but this one is actually a pretty good story. Now, I do have to say was that the grammar is really good. That is very appreciative. I did maybe spot maybe a few grammatical errors, just very few of them in the story. But that's just a minor thing. There was only maybe a few grammatical errors at parts of the story, but other than that, the story was pretty good. And I definitely have to say, the sentence structure worked out nicely, along with the storyline and the paragraph structure. Everything about it was just flat out amazing. And you did a pretty good job there, Autumn Princess. You did a really good job with this story. I definitely have to say. There's definitely time and effort into the story, and that's a very good positive that I could definitely say. Now, I was thinking about writing a story something like this when I first listened to Shadow's narration, and this one is just actually be really good. In my opinion, I have to say that Sully and Randall shipping is pretty cute. I really found it to be cute. Well, at least to me. If you guys don't like Randall and Sully shipping, I understand and I will respect your opinion on that one. But okay. Now, this story was pretty long, so I'm going to try to keep the review as short as I possibly can. Now, of course, this story was actually pretty cool, and I actually found this story to be rather cute. So, with that being said, I definitely have to say, this story was actually pretty sad at parts. You know, with the part where Sophie dies, that's really heartbreaking. Like, losing a mother at a young age, like Rex was like maybe 3 or 4. Like, losing a mother, like a family member that close to you at that young age, yeah, that could be really, that could be heartbreaking. Like, I'm just saying that right now. That can be really heartbreaking at times. So, that's heartbreaking. But, you know, this story actually made me cry a little bit, you know, partway through the story. So, I did have to narrate a few parts that were sad a few times, so then I don't end up, you know, nearly crying myself at it. But, you know, this story was pretty good. And I do have to say, I really hope that this story actually makes it, pretty good. So, I'm definitely have to say right now that, this story actually did a really good job with the, you know, though the characters, you know, acting like their usual selves. They're not, you know, out of character or anything like that. That's something I do appreciate with this story. So, with that being said, if you guys are wondering if there's any negatives about this story that I wasn't really too crazy on, no, I can't actually find out anything negative about this story. I can't find what I didn't like about this story, so I'm gonna wrap up this review because this review is like long as it is. So, with that being said, this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story would have to be a 10 out of 10. Great story, the grammar was great, sentence structure worked out well, storyline was perfect, and, you know, I found it cute, so it's really nice. I really have to say, it's cute. I'm definitely going to say that now. The story was cute. It was sad at certain parts, but it is pretty cool. If you call this, guys, like a feels pasta, feel free to do that. I'm calling this a feels pasta, but if you guys call it a fanfiction, that's totally fine too. And anyways, with that being said, what did you all think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell when I upload, so then that way you guys won't miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out of here. And with that said, guys, I will be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out.